next step for BITSA is for me to come and observe you.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about some of the things that you're thinking you want me to be looking at. Some of the things you already know about, your teaching, and some of the things that you're hoping I can observe.
Yeah. Well, I know that looking at some of the examples online on the KWOL page, on the BITSA page, I know that my kids understand classroom routine, and that's hard to get in place at the beginning of the year, but I think finally my kids they know where to turn things in, and they know what to do when they want to go to the bathroom and stuff like that.
And it takes time to put all those procedures in place.
Yeah, especially sixth graders. They feel so young when they first come to me, and they're always teacher. It's like, ugh.
You didn't have sixth grade last year. Well, you had the really super high sixth grade.
Right. So, but yeah, and they're excited about middle school, and especially for sixth graders, it's that first year that they are having to rotate classrooms. They've been in self-contained from kindergarten through fifth.
So now you have them all whipped into shape, and they know the procedures in your
I think
class?
so. I think so. There's always some stragglers, but I think I've got it pretty much under wraps as far as routines go. They really need help being organized. I have some kids who I'm literally giving folders to, and put this in your file folder, put this here, put this there, And
do you find that's more with your sixth graders and less with your seventh graders? Is that unique to that group of people, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think my sixth graders need more help being learning how to be organized.
Is that the class that you'd like me to come and observe?
Yeah, I think I do want you to come and observe my sixth graders because I'm practicing some of my whole brain teaching stuff.
Tell me about your whole brain teaching stuff.
It's kind of crazy and it's daunting to introduce, but my sixth graders have really taken to it.
Okay. What kinds of things do you do with that?
Well, I get their attention. I'll say class and they have to say yes, and they get to talk to each other. They're actually encouraged to talk to each other about the content we're learning about.
Talk during math. Imagine that.
It's scary too because you let go of a lot of the control, and I try to make sure, especially my kids in the front, I try to make sure that they're talking about math and they're on task talking, and that's working well, and the whole brain teaching lends itself to a sense of excitement. And for a lot of kids, math is not very exciting. So if I can make my classroom exciting, then maybe that'll get them excited about math too. So that's working well.
Do you think that's helping with them being engaged?
It is, yeah. It's helping them being engaged, and that's just, perpetual question for teachers. How do you engage the unengaged, and how do you motivate the unmotivated? And it's just a constant thing, but this seems to be working for now, so I'm running with it.
Okay, good. Well, I'll look forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be observing you doing the whole brain teaching. What kinds of things would you like me to be documenting for you?
Yeah, I definitely want to make sure that you can gather evidence for time on task.
Okay.
I want to make sure that the kids are talking, when they're talking to each other, I want to make sure they're talking about math. They're answering the question that I've asked them to answer.
Okay.
And then also I wanted you to gather evidence about student engagement.
Okay.
I really think that the whole brain teaching engages students, but I want to make sure it's engaging them in the right way.
All right, so when you say engagement, are you wanting me to notice if they're doing what you ask them to do in terms of the whole brain teaching? So like if you're clapping and they're supposed to respond, do you want me to be counting perhaps the number of people that have responded? We can measure it by how loud they are or how quiet they are. What would you think would be a good source of evidence in terms of engagement?
I think a good source of evidence is that students are following directions.
Okay.
When I ask them to turn and talk to their neighbor, are they turning and talking to their neighbor?
All right.
When I ask them to respond, class yes, are they responding?
Okay.
And some kids don't respond, but they still, eyes are on me, and they're paying attention, ready for the next step, and that's okay too.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, maybe you can count kids that are, mindlessly sharpening their pencil or doodling on their side, or they have their spelling book out.
So maybe a task that's not related to the lesson.
Right.
So maybe they're not a behavior problem, but they're not attending to what you've asked them to do.
Yeah, I want to make sure that they're doing what we are doing as a class together.
During the observation, I'll record the types of engagement in terms of, are they doing what you asked them to do, or are they doing something different? And then I'll pay attention to their talking about math.
Yeah.
So when you give them the opportunity to work with their partner, I will listen for some of that conversation. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I noticed that you took some time and went online and filled out the KWO part of the pre-observation.
Right.
So that's good. Tell me how you reflected about that.
Well, let's see. What I want to know about my students is how can I allow social interactions that are on topic and related to content, which goes along with the whole brain teaching.
Okay.
How do I engage learners with appropriate, authentic, meaningful, high-level discussions?
Wow.
I know that's a lot. That's a heavy sentence,
Okay.
but I mean, that's really what I'm aiming to do. And then how can I challenge gifted students and support the lower students? And again, I think that partner pairing, a high and a low, and then two mediums together is challenging kids a little bit more and supporting kids that need it.
Okay.
And then another thing, I'm always trying to work on that checking for understanding, but I don't know that I'm very good at it. So maybe if you could document a couple ways that I checked for understanding.
Okay. All right.
And I know checking for understanding is one thing, but then the whole reason you check is to make sure that you go back and reteach. But quite honestly, I'm not very good at that. I don't know if I have time. to go
You're
back and
always
reteach.
really critical of yourself, and you always do
Yeah.
a super wonderful job. And one really good thing about you is you're willing to reflect on it afterwards.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of things that I'll try to capture when I come to observe, and then we'll meet again and sort of debrief and go over what I saw.
Okay.